The year is 1960. The US is becoming heavily involved with preventing the spread of communism around the world. The Cold War is becoming very chilly now, and in order to become successful in this debacle, Americans face the great challenge of electing a reassuring president, the charming and charismatic John Fitzgerald Kennedy, or the greatly complex Richard Nixon.
Hello, America. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Senator of Massachusetts.
Good evening, fellow Americans. It is Vice President Richard Nixon.
Albert Fleming, ABC News.
Senator Kennedy, Vice President and his campaign have called you naive and immature. They have raised the question of leadership. Why should the American people vote for you instead of the Vice President?
Well, Mr. Fleming, the Republican Party has opposed federal aid for education, medical care for the aged, development of the Tennessee Valley, development of our natural resources. Which point of view and which party do we want to lead the United States?
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Mr. Vice President, would you like to comment on that statement?
I have no comment.
Vice President Nixon, President Eisenhower was asked about your contributions to major ideas. I quote, "If you give me a week, I might think of one. I don't remember." Can you clarify this?
Clearly, Nixon did not do very well during the debates, and Kennedy emerges as the clear-cut winner. During his presidency, tensions with the Soviet Union reached a peak during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy attempts to assure the American people that the US will emerge victorious. In Cuba, Fidel Castro looks to assert his dominance with the help of the Soviet Union.
Los imperialistas están amenazándonos de forma de vida. Señor Khrushchev, os han ido a golpear a los imperialistas antes de que ataquen al pueblo cubano. Vamos a apoyar a usted y su arsenal.
A series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. The 1930s taught us a clear lesson. Aggressive conduct, if allowed to go unchecked and unchallenged, ultimately leads to war. It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union. Our goal is not the victory of might, but the vindication of right. Not peace at the expense of freedom, but both peace and freedom here in this hemisphere, and, we hope, around the world. God willing, that goal will be achieved. Thank you, America.
Mr. President, our Blackbirds have detected Russian missiles within Cuba. We must utilize our nuclear warheads to protect American citizens.
Admiral, this plan is ludicrous.
It's the only option we have, Mr. President.
I don't think you're understanding our position.
Mr. President, we are talking about millions of American lives right now.
Admiral, we are speaking about thermonuclear war.
With all due respect, Mr. President, we have to worry about our own people.
Look here, I am the Commander-in-Chief. You obey my orders. Now leave my office.
Aye, aye, Mr. President.
On October 26th, Khrushchev took steps to quell the crisis and offered to remove the missiles in Cuba. In exchange, the US formally agreed to never invade Cuba and to remove missiles from Turkey. The crisis was averted, but the Cold War was far from melting away. Nevertheless, Kennedy celebrated the victory of the Cuban Missile Crisis for the remainder of his life, although that was not for long. These dark turn of events put Americans in grave peril. Lyndon B. Johnson now had to pick up the pieces of a broken nation, a task made much more difficult by conflicts in Asia.
All right, let's go, man. This way. Greg! No! 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 Greg! No!
Get down! Get down! Get down!
Vargas! Vargas, come on! No! Come on! No! No! Sergio! Sergio! Don't let me die. I won't, Sergio. I won't. Don't let me die. Stay with me. Don't let me die. Stay with me. Sergio! Sergio! Come on! Come on! Come on, man!
This is the biggest damn mess I've ever seen.
Hey, LBJ! How many kids did you kill today?
Braxton.
Hey, LBJ! How many
Yes, sir.
kids did you kill today? Hey, LBJ! How many kids did you kill today?
With the end of U.S. involvement in Vietnam, tensions with the Soviet Union began loosening. However, it took nearly 20 years for an opportunity to arise to end the Cold War, which was now left in the hands of President Reagan. To those listening throughout all of Eastern Europe, one special word. Although I cannot be with you, I address my remarks to you just as surely as to those standing here before me. For I join you, as I join your fellow countrymen back in the West, in this firm, this unalterable belief. Es gibt ein Berlin. Behind me stands a wall that encircles the free sectors of the city, part of a vast system of barriers that divide the entire continent of Europe. Standing before me today, the Brandenburg Gate. Every man is a German, separated from his fellow man. Every man is a Berliner, forced to look upon this great scar. Yet I do not come here to lament, for I find in Berlin a message of hope. Even in the shadow of this wall, a true message of triumph. Freedom leads to prosperity. Freedom replaces the ancient hatreds among the nations with comity and peace. Freedom is the true victor. And now the Soviets themselves may, in a limited way, be coming to understand the true importance of freedom. General Secretary Gorbachev, if you truly seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and all of Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And that is exactly what General Secretary Gorbachev did.
One morning in June some 20 years ago, I was born a rich man's son. I had everything that money could buy, but freedom I had none.